Fire's impact. Transforming early human society. Imagine a world without fire. No cooked food, no warmth in the darkness, no protection from predators lurking just beyond the shadows. For our ancestors, this was daily reality. Life was raw, brutal, and unforgiving, till one elemental discovery changed everything: fire. In this video, we uncover how fire transformed human evolution, from the way we ate to the way we built communities. This is not just about flames, it's about the spark that turned survival into civilization. Chapter 1. The Dawn of Domestication. Fire's first spark. Imagine stepping into a world where fire was not yet a companion, but a terrifying force of nature. Lightning strikes would set trees ablaze, volcanic eruptions would ignite the land, and wildfires would rage uncontrollably. For millions of years, early hominids could only watch fire from a distance, fascinated, but afraid. To them, fire was power, danger, and mystery. But something changed. At some point in deep prehistory, humans took their first cautious steps toward harnessing this wild element. They didn't invent fire, it already existed in nature, but they learned to borrow it, protect it, and eventually control it. That moment marked one of the greatest turning points in human evolution. The earliest encounters with fire were probably accidental. A group of early humans might stumble upon the charred remains of a forest after a lightning storm. Amid the ashes, they would find warmth, glowing embers, and perhaps even animals cooked by the flames. It would have been both terrifying and intriguing. Slowly, curiosity began to overcome fear. Instead of fleeing, some groups began to linger near the smoldering ruins. They learned that embers could be carried in sticks or preserved in hollowed logs. At first, it was not about creating fire, but keeping it alive. Fire was fragile. If the flames died, so too did its benefits. For early humans, maintaining fire became a daily responsibility, almost like caring for a living thing. This gradual familiarity was revolutionary. Once people realized they could hold on to fire, it changed everything. A small, controlled blaze offered warmth during cold nights, light in the darkness, and safety from prowling predators. Fire turned the night from a time of fear into a time of gathering. It became a shield as well as a tool. But even in its earliest use, fire was unpredictable. Sparks could leap, flames could spread, and entire shelters could be destroyed in moments. This unpredictability forced early humans to develop patience, caution, and new forms of cooperation. Learning to manage fire demanded collective efforts. Someone had to guard it, feed it, and keep it alive. Scientists believe that the control of fire dates back at least 1 million years, with evidence found at ancient sites in Africa, Israel, and China. Burned bones, ash layers, and heat-treated stones tell us that our ancestors were not only using fire, but shaping their environments with it. The leap from fear to control was slow but steady. In this way, the domestication of fire mirrors the domestication of animals and plants that would come much later. It was the first partnership between humans and nature, a relationship that reshaped both. Fire was not just a tool, it was a companion, one that required respect, attention, and care. By mastering fire, early humans unlocked possibilities no other species on Earth had achieved. They were no longer just reacting to nature, they were beginning to shape it. That single spark, preserved from the chaos of storms and volcanoes, became the foundation for everything that followed: cooking, technology, and even culture itself. The dawn of fire was the dawn of a new kind of humanity. Chapter 2. Cooking up a revolution. Dietary transformation. Fire didn't just change how humans lived, it changed who we are. One of the most profound impacts of fire was on our diet. Cooking wasn't just about taste or comfort. It was a biological revolution that transformed our bodies, our brains, and our survival. Before the mastery of fire, humans survived on raw food. Roots, fruits, nuts, and raw meat provided energy, but they were difficult to chew, hard to digest, and limited in what they offered nutritionally. Eating raw meant expending enormous amounts of time and energy just to extract enough fuel to survive. Cooking changed that equation. When food is exposed to heat, it softens, breaks down fibers, and releases nutrients more efficiently. Suddenly, calories that were once locked away became easily available. This wasn't just convenient, it was life-changing. The benefits of cooked food went beyond efficiency. Raw meat could carry dangerous parasites and bacteria, but cooking reduced disease risks dramatically. A roasted animal wasn't just easier to chew, it was safer to eat. For early humans, this meant fewer illnesses, longer lifespans, and stronger communities. Cooking also changed how humans hunted and gathered. With fire, smaller animals or plant foods that were once inedible became viable food sources. Nothing went to waste. Bones could be cracked open to extract marrow, and tough roots could be roasted into nourishing meals. This expanded menu allowed humans to thrive in diverse environments. And then there's the brain. Scientists believe that the leap in human intelligence is directly tied to cooking. Brains are incredibly energy-hungry organs. They consume about 20% of our body's calories. Eating raw food alone could not have sustained such growth. But cooking gave humans access to abundant, high-quality calories, fueling the expansion of our brains. A bigger brain meant more problem-solving, more creativity, and more innovation. In other words, fire didn't just transform our meals, it transformed our minds. It set the stage for language, culture, and technology. Imagine a group of early humans gathered around a fire after a hunt. Instead of gnawing on raw flesh, they roasted the meat, shared it, and talked. Cooking created not just healthier individuals but more social ones. Meals became shared experiences, strengthening cooperation and trust. Cooking also saved time. Eating raw foods required hours of chewing each day. Think about raw roots or uncooked meat. With cooked meals, eating was quicker and easier, giving humans more time for tool-making, exploring, and building social bonds. Time saved became time invested in innovation. The shift to cooking was so powerful that some scientists argue it marks the true beginning of humanity as we know it. Without fire and cooked food, our species might have remained small-brained, scattered, and vulnerable. Instead, cooking gave us the fuel for greatness. It wasn't just about survival, it was about transformation. With fire, humans stepped onto a new evolutionary path. Our bodies grew stronger, our brains grew larger, and our communities grew closer. Cooking was not just a revolution of food, it was a revolution of life itself. Chapter 3. Warmth, Light, and Protection. Expanding the human niche. When humans first mastered fire, it wasn't just about food. Fire became a survival tool that allowed us to push beyond natural limits. With flames at our side, we could go where no other primate could survive. Fire became the key to expanding the human niche. Think of warmth. Before fire, early humans were bound by climate. Cold nights, icy winters, and harsh winds meant danger, discomfort, and even death. But once they carried fire, a simple flame became a shield against the cold. Suddenly, places that were once uninhabitable mountains, northern plains, frozen valleys became accessible. Fire expanded the map of human survival. Archaeological evidence shows that humans with fire reached regions far colder than their ancestors ever could. It wasn't just about endurance, it was about adaptability. With fire, humans were no longer prisoners of the weather. They became pioneers of new landscapes. Then there was light. Imagine the darkness before fire, long, endless nights where predators prowled and humans huddled in fear. Fire broke that darkness. A campfire turned night into day, giving humans precious hours beyond sunset. This wasn't just practical, it was transformative. With firelight, humans could craft tools after dark, repair shelters, or prepare food without rushing against daylight. The night was no longer wasted. It became productive, creative, and social. Fire stretched a human day and expanded human possibility. But perhaps the most immediate gift of fire was protection. For early humans, predators were constant threats: big cats, wolves, hyenas, and bears. Alone, humans were fragile compared to these hunters. But with fire, the balance of power shifted. A burning torch or a ring of flames could scare away even the fiercest predators. Lions would hesitate, hyenas would retreat, and wolves would circle but not dare to enter. Fire gave humans an invisible weapon: fear. It placed humans at the top of the food chain, not because of physical strength, but because of strategy. Beyond the practical benefits, fire also gave something harder to measure: comfort. The glow of a fire on a cold night brought not only heat but also psychological security. It turned fear into calm and chaos into order. Around a fire, humans could relax, bond, and feel safe. This emotional impact mattered. A calm mind could plan, create, and dream. Fire gave humans the confidence to explore, take risks, and build communities beyond survival. It was a foundation for courage. With fire as warmth, humans crossed icy landscapes. With fire as light, they built, talked, and shared through the night. With fire as protection, they stood their ground against predators. Together, these benefits gave humans an edge no other species had. In short, fire didn't just help humans survive, allowed them to thrive. It unlocked new lands, new opportunities, and new ways of living. It expanded the human niche from the warmth of Africa to the frozen frontiers of the world. Fire was not just a tool, it was a passport, and with it, humans began their journey to every corner of the earth. Chapter 4. The Social Inferno. Community and culture forged by flame fire was never just about survival. It became the center of human life, shaping how people interacted, shared, and built culture. Around the flames, humanity didn't just stay warm or cook food, they built the foundation of society itself. Think about the fire as a gathering point. Unlike other animals, humans could sit for hours around a fire, watching the flames, sharing meals, and simply being together. This changed how people connected. No longer scattered or isolated, fire encouraged community. The hearth became the heart of human groups. Meals transformed from individual acts into collective rituals. A roasted animal was too much for one person, so food was shared. Sharing created trust, obligation, and fairness. This wasn't just about eating, it was about creating bonds. Fire made generosity a survival strategy. As groups gathered, something new emerged. Storytelling. The flickering firelight created the perfect stage for memory, myth, and imagination. Elders could pass down knowledge about hunting, dangers, and traditions, but they could also weave stories that explained the world, creating the seeds of culture. Around fire, the first oral traditions likely began. Stories turned into lessons, songs into shared identity. Firelight was the original classroom, theater, and temple, all in one. Humanity's first culture was born in its glow. But fire didn't only inspire stories, it shaped social structures. Someone had to tend the fire, feed it, and guard it. This created roles within groups. Duties became divided, responsibilities assigned. These simple acts laid the groundwork for more complex systems of labor and cooperation. Fire also encouraged larger groups to stay together. Without fire, nights were dangerous, and people needed to move constantly. But with fire, groups could settle for longer, building stronger ties and planning bigger hunts. Stability gave humans the space to experiment with tools, art, and even early forms of spirituality. In this way, fire became a symbol as much as a tool. It represented life, continuity, and community. Many ancient cultures later worshipped fire or treated it as sacred. That reverence likely has roots deep in prehistory, where fire meant survival itself. Psychologists even argue that fire changed how humans think. Hours spent staring at flames encouraged reflection and imagination. The calm atmosphere of the hearth may have been where the first big ideas took shape, ideas that went beyond survival and into creativity. By bringing people together, fire amplified humanity's greatest strength, cooperation. Other animals survive alone, but humans thrive together. Fire was the glue that held groups close, turning scattered individuals into functioning societies. In the glow of fire, humans became more than hunters or gatherers. They became storytellers, teachers, and creators. They formed identities larger than themselves, families, tribes, cultures. The social inferno of fire was as transformative as its warmth or its light. It didn't just change how humans lived, changed who humans were. Fire forged culture, community, and connection, and those bonds remain unbroken to this day. Chapter 5. Shaping the Future. From Hearth to Homo Sapiens, fire was not just a tool of the past, it was a spark that carried humanity into the future. From the first glowing embers to modern energy systems, fire has always been at the center of human progress. It shaped our evolution, our societies, and even our destiny. The mastery of fire gave early humans a crucial evolutionary advantage. With cooked food fueling bigger brains, warmth expanding our habitats, and light extending our days, fire laid the biological and cultural foundation for Homo sapiens. Without fire, our species might never have developed the intelligence and adaptability that define us today. Fire also sparked innovation. Once humans learned to control flames, new possibilities emerged. Heat could harden wooden tools, making them sharper and more durable. Stones could be cracked and reshaped with precision. Fire became the first workshop, transforming raw materials into something new. Over time, fire unlocked entire industries. Pottery emerged when clay met fire, allowing humans to store food and water more effectively. Later, fire gave rise to metallurgy, turning soft ores into bronze and eventually iron. Each step forward reshaped societies, economies, and warfare. Fire wasn't just survival, it was civilization in the making. But fire's role went beyond technology. It reshaped human identity. Mastery of fire distinguished humans from every other creature on Earth. No other species has bent nature's most destructive force into a tool for creation. Fire was proof of human ingenuity and a symbol of our growing dominance over the natural world. The hearth, too, became more than just a fire pit. It was a symbol of home. Settlements grew around central fires, and later, entire cities used fire as their lifeblood. From campfires to kilns, forges, and furnaces, the control of fire guided humanity's journey from small tribes to vast civilizations. Even our myths and religions bear witness to fire's power. Across cultures, fire was seen as divine, a gift from the gods, a sacred element, or a bridge between the human and the spiritual. Whether in Greek tales of Prometheus, Hindu fire rituals, or Zoroastrian temples, fire was worshipped, feared, and celebrated. But fire was always a double-edged sword. It offered creation but also destruction. The same flames that cooked food and lit the night could also raise forests and villages. Humanity's relationship with fire has always demanded respect, responsibility, and balance. Today, fire's legacy burns in new forms. From engines to electricity, from rockets to nuclear fusion, the principle remains the same. Harnessing energy to push boundaries. The flames that once warmed caves now power global civilizations. The story of fire is in many ways the story of us. Fire transformed us from vulnerable hominids into the architects of the modern world. It shaped our evolution, sparked our creativity, and forged our cultures. And even now, in a world of digital screens and artificial light, the elemental power of fire still burns within our progress. The journey from Hearth to Homo Sapiens is not just history, it's the foundation of humanity itself.